Rain lashed against the glass walls of the towering Manhattan hotel, blurring the city lights into streaks of gold and gray. Inside the marble lobby, she stood trembling, soaked to the bone, her trembling hands clutching her bag as if her life were in it. Her name was Naomi Carter, a woman whose dreams had been battered by the storms of poverty, betrayal, and loss. She had come here on instinct, not logic. The world had closed its doors on her, and this hotel, this glittering palace of the rich, was the last place she thought she'd find hope. But desperation makes you brave. When the security guards approached, demanding she leave, she spun around blindly, and her hand shot out, grabbing the nearest person. Her fingers tightened around a man's wrist. "Please," she gasped, her voice raw, her eyes full of tears. "I just need a chance. Please don't let them throw me out." The man turned slowly, his expensive coat dark with rain, his expression unreadable. But when his gaze fell on her face, the world seemed to stop. For a heartbeat, the storm outside fell silent, because he knew her. Her touch, her voice, her eyes. They had haunted him for years. "Naomi," he whispered, his voice trembling with disbelief. Her brows furrowed. "Do I know you?" The guards froze mid-step, sensing the shift in power. The man, tall, poised, wearing a wristwatch worth more than a house, gestured subtly, and they backed away immediately. Naomi stood still, confused, clutching her fraying bag tighter. He smiled faintly, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You once did, but it's been a long time." Her heart raced. There was something painfully familiar about him, something she couldn't quite place. His face had changed, matured, carved by years and success. But those eyes, she remembered eyes like that watching her once, long ago, from across a dusty street. "I don't understand," she whispered. He took a slow step forward. "You don't remember the boy who used to fix cars on Jefferson Avenue? The one you gave your lunch to every day?" Her lips parted. The world tilted. "Elias." The name escaped her like a prayer. And then, for the first time in years, she saw the same gentle smile, hidden beneath the armor of power and wealth. "I told you," he said softly, "I'd find you again one day." Naomi staggered back, tears flooding her vision. Elias, you disappeared. They said you left town. You never came back." "I didn't," he said, voice low, "because I had nothing to come back with. I swore that I wouldn't face you until I could give you the life you deserved." She shook her head, still trembling. "Why me? Elias, I was nobody. Just a girl trying to survive." He took her hand again, gently this time. No desperation, just certainty. "Because when everyone else walked past me, you stopped. You gave me kindness when I had nothing. You gave me dignity when I didn't even believe I had any." Her heart ached. That was years ago. He smiled faintly. "For you, maybe. But for me, every day since then has been about finding a way back to this moment." Before she could speak, a group of well-dressed executives appeared behind him. "Mr. Sterling." One of them said cautiously, "The board is waiting." He didn't look away from her. "They'll wait." Naomi blinked. "Sterling," she repeated. "Yes," he said softly. "Elias Sterling. The billionaire. The reclusive magnate who'd built an empire from the ground up. The man the media called the Silent King." And she just grabbed his hand like a beggar in front of everyone. Her face burned with humiliation. I'm sorry, I didn't know." "Naomi," he interrupted gently, "don't you dare apologize for touching the hand that's been waiting for you." Her knees weakened. "Elias, I'm not who I used to be. Life hasn't been kind. I've made mistakes." He stepped closer, voice soft but fierce. "So have I. But that doesn't change the fact that I found you again. And I'm not letting you disappear this time." She swallowed hard, her heart pounding so loud she could barely breathe. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," he said, lowering his voice so only she could hear, "come with me. Tonight." She blinked. "Where?" "Somewhere you can finally rest. Somewhere you don't have to fight anymore." Naomi hesitated, torn between the walls she'd built and the man whose presence shattered them. She'd trusted people before and paid with scars. But there was something in his eyes, The same unshakable sincerity she'd seen in that skinny boy years ago, covered in grease and dreams. Her lips trembled. "And if I say no?" He smiled sadly. "Then I'll still wait, just like I did before." For a moment, the world around them blurred. The storm, the whispers, the flashing cameras of curious onlookers. All that existed was the echo of fate, the kind that comes once in a lifetime. Naomi took a step forward. "Show me where," she whispered. Elias's eyes softened. He held out his hand once more, the same hand she grabbed in desperation moments ago. Only this time, it wasn't a plea for help. It was a promise rekindled. And when she took it, everything changed. The elevator doors closed behind them, the sound sealing a chapter neither had expected to reopen. But what waited beyond those doors, neither Naomi nor Elias could have imagined, because the past wasn't done with them yet. And someone had been waiting for him just as long. The elevator hummed softly as it rose to the glittering heart of the skyscraper. Naomi stood beside Elias, clutching her worn bag like a shield. The air between them was charged, thick with old memories and unspoken questions. He didn't look at her. He just watched the numbers climb, his jaw tense, his reflection in the mirrored wall a mix of calm and storm. When the door slid open, Naomi's breath caught. The penthouse was like another world, glass walls revealing the city stretching endlessly below, warm golden light spilling from chandeliers that looked like floating stars. She hesitated on the threshold, her shoes leaving faint wet prints on the marble. "You live here?" she whispered, almost afraid to break the silence. "For now," Elias said, shrugging off his coat and hanging it neatly. "Most nights, I'm just here, not living." She looked around. Every surface gleamed. Every object seemed chosen with precision, but the space felt cold, like beauty that had forgotten warmth. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "It's empty," he replied. He motioned toward a sofa near the fireplace, and she sat slowly, her hands twisting in her lap. He poured her a cup of tea from a crystal pot, the kind of gesture that seemed foreign coming from someone like him, yet the familiarity in it made her chest ache. "You still take sugar?" he asked, a ghost of a smile on his lips. Her heart skipped. "You remember that?" "I remember everything," he said simply. She looked down, the steam blurring her eyes. "I thought you forgot me. You became this man the world talked about, the billionaire with no past." He leaned against the edge of the coffee table, watching her. "The world doesn't care where a man comes from, only what he becomes. I let them believe I appeared out of nowhere because the truth was too painful to tell." Naomi's voice was barely a whisper. "What truth?" He exhaled slowly. "That every brick of what I built came from missing you, from wanting to prove that I could be someone you wouldn't be ashamed of." Her breath trembled. "Ashamed? Elias, I never—" He shook his head, eyes soft but steady. "You gave me hope, Naomi. You were light when everything else was dark. I wasn't supposed to survive those years. But then there was you." Her throat tightened. "Then why did you leave?" He looked away for the first time. "Because the night my mother died, I promised her I'd never let you live my kind of life. I thought the only way to protect you was to disappear." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't protect me. You left me alone in a world that didn't want me." He froze at the words, his expression cracking. "I know, and I've lived with that mistake every day since." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The fire flickered softly, painting their faces in orange light. The city roared faintly below, sirens life distance. Then Naomi reached into her bag and pulled out a crumpled photograph. She placed it on the table. It was of a small boy, dark curls, wide smile, maybe 6 years old. Elias stared at it, the world narrowing to that single image. "Whose?" "My son," she said quietly. His heart stuttered. "Your son?" Naomi nodded, her hands trembling. "His name is Aiden." He looked from her to the picture again. The boy's eyes, familiar, piercing, deep brown, mirror his own from years ago. Elias's voice was barely audible. "Naomi, who's his father?" She looked away. "Does it matter?" He stood slowly, his pulse pounding. "It does. Because if what I'm seeing is true, Naomi cut him off sharply. Don't. Please don't say it. Naomi, he whispered, stepping closer. You need to tell me. Tears slid down her face, silent and helpless. You left Elias. You never wrote, never called. And when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't even know if you were alive. What was I supposed to do? He felt the ground slip from beneath him. Naomi, why didn't you find me? I tried, she cried. You vanished, changed your name, moved across states, became someone untouchable. Do you know what it's like watching the man you love become a ghost? The air was heavy, both of them breathing unevenly, hearts unraveling old wounds. Elias turned toward the window, his reflection fractured against the city lights. He spoke without turning. I spent years building everything I thought I needed, but I see now, I built it all for nothing if you weren't there. Naomi wiped her tears with the back of her hand, her voice raw. It's too late, Elias. The world doesn't work like fairy tales. I'm not the girl you remember. He turned, eyes fierce and tender all at once. You're exactly the woman I remember, just stronger. And maybe that scares me. She looked up at him, exhaustion and longing tangled in her gaze. You don't know what it's been like. I've worked 3 jobs just to keep Aiden in school. I've slept on buses, in shelters. I came here tonight because I thought maybe anyone, could help me get a job. I didn't even know it would be you. Elias moved closer, slowly. As if afraid she might vanish, he became too fast. Naomi, he said softly, you don't have to beg for a job. Not anymore. She frowned. What are you saying? He knelt in front of her, his hand reaching for hers. I'm saying I owe you everything. You gave me life when I had nothing. Let me give you one now. Naomi shook her head, panic rising. No, Elias. I don't want pity. I don't want to be someone you rescue. I've been saving myself for years. His voice dropped to a whisper. Then let me stand beside you while you do. She turned her face away, trying to steady her breathing. You don't even know if you can trust me. He smiled faintly. I trusted you when I was a boy starving in the rain. I think I can trust you now. Her lips trembled. And if Aiden is yours, his eyes darkened, not with fear but with awe. Then he's the best thing I ever did without knowing it. Naomi's heart squeezed painfully at the quiet conviction in his tone. She had imagined 100 ways this meeting could go, but not this quiet, aching sincerity. Elias rose and looked at her for a long moment. He deserves to know me, and you deserve to rest, Naomi. Let me help you. Before she could answer, a soft chime echoed the elevator. Naomi stiffened. Elias frowned. I'm not expecting anyone. A moment later, the door slid open and a woman stepped out. Tall, striking, dressed in black silk and diamonds that caught the firelight. Her gaze landed on Naomi first, then shifted to Elias. Elias, she said coolly, you didn't tell me you were entertaining guests. Naomi froze, recognizing the tone, the kind that belonged to someone who thought she owned the room. Elias's jaw tightened. Victoria, this isn't a good time. Oh, I can see that, Victoria said smoothly, her eyes narrowing. So this is the woman, isn't she? The one you've been hiding from me all these years. Naomi's pulse quickened. What is she talking about? Elias closed his eyes briefly. Victoria, don't do this. But Victoria stepped closer, her smile sharp. Don't pretend, Elias. You think your secrets don't have consequences? I know everything. About Jefferson Avenue. About her. About the child. Naomi gasped. You knew? Victoria's smile widened. Of course I knew. I just didn't realize a little charity case would actually show up. Elias moved between them instantly, his voice low and dangerous. You'll watch your words. Victoria's laughter was soft and cruel. I see you still have your weakness for lost things. But you should be careful, Elias. The world is watching, and everything you built could crumble if they find out your past isn't as clean as your image. Naomi stood, shaking. I don't understand. What does she want from you? Victoria's eyes gleamed. Oh, darling, it's simple. I want what's mine. And as her words hung in the air, the sound of thunder cracked outside, sharp and sudden. As if the night itself had chosen sides, Elias's eyes narrowed. Every fiber of him coiled tight, like a spring ready to snap. Victoria's presence wasn't just unwelcome. It was dangerous, the kind of danger that came wrapped in silk and steel. Naomi stood behind him, trembling. Yet her fingers brushed against his arm for courage, and he felt as a lifeline he hadn't realized he'd needed. "Victoria," he said, his voice low and lethal, "you're done. Whatever games you think you're playing, they end tonight." Victoria tilted her head, feigning innocence, her smile cold. "Oh, Elias, you've always been naive. Do you really think you can protect her and that boy from me?" Naomi's heart raced. "Boy? What do you mean?" Elias turned to her, urgency in his gaze. "Naomi, stay behind me." Victoria's laugh was soft, dangerous, like the hiss of serpent. "You think you can shield them? You've been hiding for years, playing at power while the world moves around you. But now, everything you built is exposed. And this little family of yours? Fragile, temporary." Naomi felt fury ignite in her chest. Temporary? Do you even understand what family means? Victoria's eyes flickered with a dangerous amusement. "I understand exactly what it means. And I also understand what happens when the truth comes out." Elias's jaw tightened, and he stepped forward, his presence suddenly overwhelming. The air itself seemed to hum with his authority. "Enough," he said, voice resonant, the sound bouncing off the marble walls like a verdict. "You're not touching her. You're not touching my son. And you're not threatening my life or everything I've built. Not ever." Victoria's smile faltered for just a moment, a crack appearing in her perfect composure. But she masked it immediately, sweeping past him with an elegance that almost looked harmless. "We'll see, Elias. The world has long memories." As she left, the silence that followed was deafening. Naomi sank onto the sofa, relief and exhaustion mingling in her trembling body. Elias knelt beside her, gathering her hands in his, and for the first time, the weight of the world seemed to lift just slightly. "You're safe," he murmured. "For now, and I promise I'll keep it that way." Naomi looked up at him, her heart full, her chest aching with everything she'd held in for years. "Why me?" she asked, the question escaping before she could stop it. He smiled, softened before, his eyes warm but piercing. "Because you never gave up on me, Naomi. Even when I was gone, even when I was silent, you believed in what we had. You believed in me. That's rare. That's precious. That's everything." She swallowed, the lump in her throat threatening to choke her. "I thought I'd lost you forever." "You didn't," he said, leaning close. "I always waited, for the day when you'd walk into my life again, even if it was by accident. And now here you are." Her tears spilled over, and this time he didn't reach for a tissue. He just held her. The embrace wasn't just physical. It was a meeting of two wounded souls, the merging of hope and patience, the reconciliation of past and future. Naomi could feel it in her bones, the kind of connection that fate didn't give lightly, and when it did, it demanded everything. "Elias," she whispered. "What about everything? Your life, your empire, your past?" He shook his head, a small, ironic smile playing at his lips. "Let it burn if it has to. I built all of this to protect you, to protect us. And now I know nothing matters without you and Aiden." Naomi blinked, realization dawning. "You know about him?" He nodded. "I always knew. I just had to wait for the right moment. And now it's our moment." Her breath caught. "Moment." "Yes," he said firmly. "The moment we stop running from the past. The moment we claim the future we deserve. Together." For the first time in years, Naomi felt fear and hope collide in a way that didn't paralyze her. It propelled her forward. She looked at Elias, seeing not just a billionaire, not just a boy from Jefferson Avenue, but the man who had endured, who had waited, who had loved in silence. "What about the world?" she asked softly. "What about all the whispers, all the people who think we can't make it?" He took her hands, holding them as if he could anchor her very soul. "Let them talk. Let them whisper. We'll build a world of our own, one no one can touch. One where Aiden grows up knowing love, loyalty, and strength. One where you finally rest. Naomi's chest ached. The storm outside had quieted, but inside, something bigger had awakened. The kind of awakening that came when destiny finally catches up to you. She realized, with a breathless kind of clarity, that this moment, this improbable, impossible reunion, was only the beginning. Elias led her to the balcony. The city stretched before them like an endless sea of lights, glittering and alive. She shivered, both in the chill of the night and the intensity of it all. "Look," he said softly, "all of this, it's ours. Not theirs. Not the world's. Ours." Naomi's eyes widened. "But it's so much. I feel like I don't deserve it." "You deserve everything," he said, his voice firm. "Every second, every dream, every star above the city. You just never knew it until now." She turned to him, tears spilling freely now, unashamed, unrestrained. "I've waited for a sign. I've waited for someone to believe in me." "I have," he said. "I've waited longer than you can imagine, and I will wait forever if I have to." The wind tugged at her hair, whipping around her face, yet she felt warmth spread through her, not just from him, but from the promise in his eyes, a promise forged through years of absence, through struggle, through longing that never faltered. Elias pulled her close again, wrapping his arms around her like he was holding the world in his grasp. "Naomi, it's time to stop surviving. Time to start living. Time to reclaim what's always been ours. Love, family, everything." She rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. And in that rhythm, she heard years of waiting, of hope, of devotion. She realized that no empire, no fortune, no worldly power could ever replace the truth they shared, that some bonds aren't broken by time, distance, or circumstance. They are timeless, indestructible, sacred. "I believe you," she whispered. "I believe us. And I will prove it," he said, "every day for the rest of our lives. You, aiding me, nothing else matters." Naomi felt something she hadn't felt in years, a lightness, a freedom, a sense that the storm had passed not just outside, but within her soul. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she was fighting for survival. She felt like she was finally living. Elias stepped back, taking her hands in his gaze unwavering. "We have a choice now," he said. "We can let the past haunt us, or we can write our future. Together." She nodded, certainty settling in her chest. "Together." Aiden's laughter echoed in her memory, and she imagined him running through halls not of struggle but of love, of safety, of wonder. And she knew, no matter what challenges awaited, no matter what obstacles Victoria or the world might throw at them, they had something stronger than fear, something unshakable. Elias brushed a strand of wet hair from her face. "We've been given a second chance, Naomi. The kind most people spend a lifetime searching for." She smiled through her tears. "Then we won't waste it." The city stretched endlessly below, indifferent to their triumph, but somehow, in that moment, the lights seemed to shine brighter, as if recognizing the power of their reunion, the strength of their bond. Elias pulled her close one last time, and Naomi felt the promise in his embrace ripple through every part of her. It wasn't just love anymore. It was devotion. It was redemption. It was the beginning of everything they had ever dreamed of and more. "Ready?" he whispered. "For everything," she said, her voice steady now, full of courage and hope. And together, hand in hand, heart to heart, they stepped forward, not into the unknown, but into a future they would claim fiercely and magnificently. No storms could touch them now. No shadows could dim their light. Because some loves, the ones that endure years of waiting, heartbreak, and struggle, emerge not just unbroken, but stronger, brighter, and unstoppable. Elias and Naomi would no longer be defined by the past. They were architects of a new world, a world of love, of family, of triumph over every cruel twist fate had ever dealt them. And in that world, they would not merely survive. They would soar. As the first rays of dawn touched the city skyline, painting it gold and amber, Naomi looked at Elias and whispered, "We made it." He smiled, brushing her tears away gently. "No, Naomi, we didn't just make it. We conquered it. And this is only the beginning. For the first time in their lives, they believed it. And the city, wide, endless, alive, seemed to bow before them, bearing witness to a love that had waited, endured, and finally triumphed. The future awaited, magnificent, unstoppable, and entirely theirs. And neither would ever let it go.